the labor of love, the dry cured meat, and the natural disaster. All right, let's get started. I'm going to show you how I dry cure my bacon. I'm going to do some ham, hog jowl, and bacon. These are all different cuts of the meat. This right here is the hog jowl. That is the cheeks. First, we take off the skin, the layer of skin and hair. Now, because we butcher these ourselves in our backyard without special equipment, we don't blanch and scrape the hair. We simply skin the animal. Now, what I'm doing here is trimming off any undesirable pieces. If there's any glands in there's a little extra fat on there, the dry pieces, anything that's got crusty or hair, anything that's real yucky, I just trim that off and it goes into dog food. The hog jowls were sitting in a different fridge, so I forgot to get them into the dry cure the same day that I did the bacon and the hams. So these are 2 days behind, but the end product really didn't show much of a difference. So if you have more meat than fat in your bacon or your hog jowl, then you'll want to have it sit with that dry cure for less time. The meat absorbs all of that salt, and so it'll get more and more salty. Now, because my bacon was super fatty, I had no problems with it getting too salty because the salt didn't absorb into the fat layer. Now right here you'll see one of those glands that I was talking about. The cheeks have more glands than other parts of the body, so you want to look out for those. They're not going to taste very good, so just trim that off, and the dogs don't care, so it goes to the dogs. Okay, now that it's all trimmed up and looks real nice, we're going to coat it with some sugar and salt. What are the ratios? Well, it's more salt than it is sugar, but I stopped measuring it a while ago because I didn't really notice a difference. Just as long as you have more salt than you do sugar, and you coat every bit of it. Here's one of the bacons. I'm going to rinse the salt and sugar off. And over here we have boneless ham, and I'm going to rinse boneless ham, a bone-in ham, and everything was cured exactly the same. And under here we also have another bacon. Everything was cured the same for the same length of time, except these are the hog jowls, and these were not cured for as long, but we're gonna rinse them and we're going to smoke them today, same as everything else, just so everything is getting packaged and put away today. So everything has been cured for 4 days, and now I'm going to rinse it all, so rinse off all that salt and sugar, dry them thoroughly, and put them on the smoker. Bad news for the bone-in ham. As I was rinsing off the salt and sugar, I noticed that there was a little bit of discoloration in some of the fat. See how it's kind of a bluish green tint right there? So I started trimming through, and the problem with bone-in items is if it was not cooled completely all the way through to the bone at the time of processing, the spoilage, oh, it sucks. But I got some spoilage on this ham. It wasn't cooled completely to the bone. All of the other stuff is fine. Everything else is fine. There was no bone in anything else. I looked really thoroughly through. I did a little extra trimming just to make sure that there wasn't some spoilage happening underneath some of the fat layers. So everything else seems fine. It was nice and cooled. There's no bone in there. But this ham, I'm just not willing to risk the health of my family, obviously. So I cut off chunks and I kind of sorted through, and everything just has like a slightly off smell. And with having this spoilage on the outside, I decided it's not worth the risk, and I'm just gonna give this all to the dog. So I have a bunch of cured dog food now. They'll enjoy this, and I'll go put the rest of this on the smoker. I have an offset smoker, so I chop all of my own wood that is collected off of my land, and I smoke with natural wood. Now, if you want to look awesome chopping wood, record yourself for 10 minutes, but only keep the clips where you actually got through the wood. All right, there we go. Let's go put it in the smokeroo. You can use any kind of smoker you have. I had one of those electric ones. It was called a Pit Boss, but when I moved and sold all of my belongings, I got this offset smoker.
and it's a lot more work, but it's really satisfying and it's off-grid cooking. Let's talk about size. I have miniature pigs. There are a lot of different breeds that qualify as miniature pigs, but really it's anything that's 250 pounds or less at full size. And the hog that we just did, that I got this bacon, hog jowls, and ham from, she was about 200 pounds. We like to do the miniature breeds so that we can manage them at home without sending them to a butcher, without loading them up, and we don't need any special equipment. If you asked me just 3 years ago if I saw myself butchering my own hogs, I'd say, OMG, no way. But the year that we had a hog ready to go to the butchers, they were booked out over a year, and we kind of had no choice but to do it ourselves. We've done a lot of our other small animals, but a 400-pound hog was something we'd never done before, and the reason why we do miniatures now. But what does a badass homesteader do when they're put in the predicament like that? You step up to the challenge and you take care of it.
Okay, we have some pre-warmed boards in here. Boards and sticks. Pre-warmed so that they don't smoke dirty smoke. They'll just light up a lot better. So we get a cleaner, more tastier smoke smell, taste, fragrance. And then I'll put some more in here to pre-warm. I'll come check on it in about 30 minutes. We're sitting at perfect smoking. Go a little bit warmer, but it probably dropped in temperature just a tad because I did open that lower side. Good to go. Smoke looks really nice coming out of there. It's perfect. That's exactly what you want. Dang it. This isn't going well. Arrgh. Alright, lovely little break in the storm. We have cooled off completely and doused our fire. This went about an hour and a half. I was gonna go a little longer, but it's done. We're gonna pull it all off now, take it inside, wrap it up. Looks pretty good though. It looks like some pretty good bacon. If you
When using an offset cooker, one side will cook hot and one side will be cool. I purposely put one of the boneless hams on the hot side so that it would cook through and I could have like a ready-made ham that I could just dice up and throw into things.
And that one is the ham, boneless ham, and another boneless ham. Ooh, I'm gonna cut a piece of that off and try it out.
Sometimes things don't go as planned and you just roll with it. Who cares? Whatever. Life is life. So this was going to go for 2 hours on the smoker, but we just did an hour and a half and it's got a really nice mild smoke flavor. So here's one of the tricks that I like for wrapping these up. I buy these pre-made bags off Amazon. I roll the bags down so you don't get any grease on that seal part to make sure you get a good seal. And then using tongs so that my hands don't get greasy. There's a lot of grease on things. So when working with pork, everything gets covered in grease. So the less you touch it, the better. The sped up sound of the vacuum sealer, it sounds like one of those kid party horns, you know? Doot doot. When I'm cutting these up, I try to estimate about 8 ounces to a pound size, and I weigh it out. I label what it is. If it's ham, jowl, the date that I packed it on, and how much it weighed. If you have a meat slicer, then I would suggest putting this into the fridge, letting it cool down so that that fat isn't so soft, and then weigh it and put it in your bags. This will stay fresh in your freezer for about a year, but it doesn't last that long for my family. Huge thank you to all of you that made it to the end of the video. I really appreciate your support, and I hope you found some value in my content. I would love it if you would subscribe and hit that bell notification so you know when I'm posting stuff. We'll see you on the next one.